everybody. Welcome to our second in this series of SkillSpout webinars. My name is JP Gralty, and I'm an implementation specialist at SkillSpout. And so today we're going to be talking about how to stop boiling the ocean. We're going to look at how to automate just one process in an afternoon. So to spend a little bit of time automating just one process rather than looking at AI as this tool to automate everything and kind of hype everything up. And so we're going to focus on one process to find, something on the order of 10 hours a week hiding in that one process. And I'm going to do this all for you today live. So strap in and we're going to jump in and get started. So what's the problem, right? AI paralysis, there's a lot of hype, right? We all hear the news, the hype, the post. AI is going to be able to do my multi-step workflow. It's going to help with the nuance. And we try it. Oh, I tried it and it didn't work. It didn't do everything. There wasn't a magic button. The Super Bowl commercials didn't align with reality, right? And so what do we get from that? We see this as, okay, this was wasted investment. We spent a lot of time. We have frustrated talent. And there's not really that widespread adoption, right? And this really comes from the root of that problem being that we're trying to boil the ocean. We're trying to do everything all at once. And when you try to do everything all at once, you're going to end up doing nothing very well. And so at SkillSpout, our solution is to prioritize the human first and to break things into manageable chunks so that AI can easily handle and easily manage without much effort. I always tell people I have young children, and so the giant task of getting ready and out the door in the morning is overwhelming to a 4-year-old. But when broken down into the little chunks, right, put on your shirt, put on your shoes, is manageable for a 4-year-old, right? We're going to approach AI with the same way. Let's break that big idea into doable, high impact pieces, right? And so instead of trying to think about an approach, how do we automate everything? Let's focus on how do we automate the 60% of grunt work and reclaim time for the 40% that really requires humans in the loop, human quality, human strategy, human expertise, right? And so this return on investment, right, is that we're actually going to achieve that through high adoption, through these quick wins that might seem less, all-encompassing or not up to the promises of AI, right? But actually, when you take these small wins and stack them up together, they actually lead to meaningful returns, right? And so here's, kind of an example of the math behind that, right? So if you have one process that takes 1 hour, if you multiply that process across, say, 50 employees, across 52 weeks in a year, that can save a company 2,600 hours per year in recovered just from that one workflow, right? So by starting small and finding something that is scalable and can scale up over time, you can actually end up saving a lot of time across the course of a year. So I want to hear from you. What's eating your team's time? What's taking a lot of time that you want to think about automating? Put your answers in the chat. Someone said the RFP process. Awesome. Any others? Automating outlines, schedules. Yes. Helen, I appreciate that. Thanks. Yeah. So, right, there's a lot of things that humans don't want to spend a lot of time doing, and it's just kind of the grunt work that we have to do as part of the workday. And so let's look at how can we automate that. The example I have prepared does happen to be the RFP process, and so that'll be an example that we can use. But this philosophy, this approach, is going to be consistent across a wide range of processes and very applicable. So let's take a pretty complex process, right? And let's map it out step by step. Just like my son's morning routine, we're taking that big process of getting out the door in the morning and applying it to, this big RFP process and chunking it down step by step so that it's manageable. And so we can identify where are the time sinks and where can AI help us, right? So a sample, for a sample company, a company might receive an RFP. then they would have to do some kind of compliance check, right? Make sure that assess, is this RFP a good fit for our company? Is it not? And determine, kind of essentially a go, no go, right? Are we going to go with this? Are we going to apply to this RFP? Are we not? They then might spend some time searching through past responses, so past successful RFPs to find, to not reinvent the wheel every time and build on what's worked in the past. You're going to have to spend time drafting those answers to this specific RFP, right? Making sure that we're aligning our proposal with what's in the RFP. There's probably some kind of review process, especially in larger organizations, where things get reviewed, maybe sometimes at multiple levels or by multiple departments, right? And then based on that review, there's revisions. And then finally, kind of clicking send, clicking submit, right? So where might AI be able to help us? Where might we be able to automate in this process? So here I have, kind of mapped out, right, how long it takes roughly for each of those processes, right? So, and again, these are estimates. These are not, applicable broadly. But so compliance check, right, may take a couple hours. Searching through those past responses, maybe it's 4 hours if you have a lot of, kind of past responses. Drafting is maybe 4 hours. Review, maybe it's 2 hours. Maybe it's 30 minutes across 4 people, right? And then those kind of final revisions, maybe a couple iterations of that, right? Emails back and forth. We've all been there. And then finally, right, we can submit an RFP. So when it comes to automating these tasks, right, we receive the RFP. Okay, let's say that it takes a negligible amount of time, right? We're not necessarily going to automate that. But what can we do in terms of automation, right? So that compliance check, checking, is this something that our company should apply to, right? Is this an RFP that's worth our time to complete? Do we meet all of the requirements? Do we meet, do we have the right insurance? Do we have, right, all of that stuff? Can AI help us with that? And the answer is yes, right? AI can help us with that compliance check. AI can automate that. What about searching through past responses? Can AI help us to automate searching through past successful responses and winning RFPs? Yes, generative AI can help us with that. It's a great tool for helping search through past responses. How about drafting answers? Drafting our first draft of an RFP. Yes, AI can help us draft the first draft of the RFP. One thing we always say at SkillSpout is that AI is a first draft, but it's not a final draft. So that first draft, absolutely, we can use AI to draft that. But the review and any revisions should be made by people. So we're not automating the entire process. We're taking some things and saying, what's AI really good at that we can automate? And we're keeping that human in the loop for the review and the revise and ultimately the submission, especially for something as important as an RFP. So let's see, what does this actually look like? This is the live demo portion. So I like to say that this is my, I'm going to put my cooking show hat on and show you a live demo of what this RFP process might actually look like in a hypothetical client. So we created this. This is a fictional company, Tom's Pest Remediation SharePoint. And so this fictional company is a Microsoft shop. They use Microsoft tools and they handle pest remediation, right? And so they have a SharePoint. We've built out some things in here, right, that should look pretty similar to most organizations, shared drive, SharePoint type space. And I have in purple really nicely laid out here all the files I'll be using for today's demo. But, like I said, everything I'm showing you can be integrated directly into an existing SharePoint through Microsoft. That's kind of our AI tool of choice today is going to be Microsoft Copilot. And we're going to use Copilot because it has that integration with Microsoft. So again, Tom's Pest Remediation is a sample client. They use Microsoft 365 and Copilot is integrated with that, which is going to help us out a lot. So remember our steps, right? We received the RFP. Next, we're going to check what's the go, no go. Is this something that we're going to apply for? And so we have this AI assistant we called it Tom's Compliance Checker. And let's take a look under the hood. So we can see in Tom's Compliance Checker that this checks for compliance on RFPs. We can see that there's some instructions. There's a compliance evaluation assistant, reviews an incoming RFP. It's going to compare its requirements against our company's capabilities documents and determine whether we meet the criteria for geographic service location, pest types, and insurance coverage requirements. And it's going to respond with a clear yes or no recommendation on whether to bid with an explanation citing those exact requirements. One great thing about these AI assistants is you can point it directly at the knowledge or the documents that you want it to draw from. So in this case, I've gone in and I've added the compliance and capabilities folder from our SharePoint into that. And from there, we have this assistant. So as an example, we can go in and we can look for files on our cloud, on our SharePoint. And I'm going to go into this again, this sample client of Tom's Pest Remediation. Click through this RFP automation demo. And in here, I have a few sample RFPs saved. And so let's take a look first at this one from Apex Continuity Systems. And we're just going to click this button here and say, should Tom respond to this RFP? And the model's going to think for a little bit. It's reviewing the data. Combing through the RFP. Based on our compliance documentation, no, Tom should not bid on this RFP, right? We fail a critical mandatory requirement that makes us compliant. So we pass here on geographic service location, but the final recommendation is a no because our service coverage matrix explicitly states that we do not provide 24/7 termite services, and that is the #1 mandatory requirement of this RFP. So you can see really quickly, I'm able to save time for me and for my team by getting a quick no. Hey, do we need to spend any time reading through this RFP more or looking at it anymore? No, I was able to determine that really quickly, right? What does another example look like? What does a yes look like? So again, I'm not going to go through. I'm doing a little bit of cooking show magic to save us some time today. But I did another one. So there's another RFP from Greenleaf Pest Solutions. And I put that one into Compliance Checker and it gave the opposite recommendation. It said, yes, we should bid on this, right? Greenleaf Pest Solutions, we should bid on it. Here's why. Geographic service location, the pest types, insurance requirements. Yes, we meet all of these things. We have full Ohio service coverage. Termite and all required pest services are fully supported. And we have all the insurance, licensing, and compliance documentation, right? Next, it's going to tell us what are the service type and client type for our next workflow step. And so I'm going to copy these, this service type and compliance type. And next, we're going to go into this winning proposal extractor. And so again, you can see this under the hood. I don't know why it went to the dark mode just now, but it did that. And so you can see again, we have another AI assistant that will extract winning proposals. I'm not going to walk through all of this, but just know that it is a similar AI assistant to the one that I showed you with the compliance one. And this one's purpose is to identify and extract winning proposal language relevant to an RFP by searching within the files of past winning proposals, right? And so it's going to do that in a really systematic step-by-step example. We're pointing it at this folder that contains winning proposals so that it searches them. And again, going through some cooking show type magic because I don't want to wait for the model to spit this out. What we found here, right, is I pasted in, remember I said I copied the service type requested. It's comprehensive pest remediation and it's commercial and residential. And look at this, #1, first of all, hey, AI, not perfect, not going to deliver anything every time. It didn't find any winning proposals. Okay. Gave me some information. And what happened here is that sometimes it didn't understand that I was, that it was being pointed to that winning proposals folder. So all I did here was I just gave a quick little prompt. Hey, list all the winning proposals in your knowledge. Oh yeah, turns out there are a bunch of winning proposals in my knowledge base. Great, it listed all of them there. Now that I've confirmed that it has there, identify the 3 proposals that are most relevant for this RFP and extract the relevant language. Right? This is why that human in the loop is still important. We're not completely automating this, but it's saving us a lot of time, right? And so we're going to identify those 3 proposals that are most relevant and look 1, 2, 3. So we identify 3 proposals that are most relevant and why, right? And I think this was pretty neat when I found this. It pulled 3 and described why they are highly relevant, right? And so this first one was really, relevant in terms of the, comprehensive prevention first strategy, the scope of service. And so this was kind of serving as the overall comprehensive program piece for this. This second piece, so another job that was done, by Tom's Pest Remediation in 2024, really focused on termites, right? And so that met a lot of the RFP requirements around termites, right? Inspection, targeted termite remediation, et cetera, right? And then this third proposal, the RFP also calls for broad insect coverage. So this was a proposal that we had in the past that had that feature, right? This broad impact broad insect coverage, right? And so taking all of these things, right, I have 3 proposals where I'm able to pull the pieces and parts. But remember, this assistant searched through 43 total past winning proposals over the span of a few years, right? And so the time it would have taken to manually search through these proposals, identify which ones were the most relevant, and then pull out the relevant categories, right, would have taken a lot of time to do manually, but with AI I can do it really quickly. And then lastly, once we get there, we now have past language from our past proposals. We have a proposal drafter. So again, Tom's proposal drafter, just to show you, this is another AI assistant, and its job is to draft proposals in line with our proposal structure and standard, right? And so again, cooking show magic, just so we don't have to wait. All I did was I pasted in the content. So these are just the full file locations on our SharePoint site of those 3 examples that popped out of the winning proposal extractor. And so here's the RFP. It wanted a confirmation. It asked if I wanted to display the text directly in chat or in a Word document. For purposes of this, I had it display directly in chat. If I was an actual company submitting this, probably a Word document would have worked better. It's going to be the same content either way, but told it to display directly in chat. And here we are. We have an executive summary. We have our company overview, license certifications, qualifications, service approach, service coverage, pricing. You'll notice that it left that blank for me to fill in as a human. There's a couple other things in here to call out. In the company overview, for example, it does list this paragraph here. We maintain strict adherence to our brand's voice and safety commitments, which guide us to communicate clearly, right? That's probably not the thing that you're going to cite to an external facing customer in an RFP. Maybe you're going to cite instead the company's values or mission or vision or professional standards, right? So this isn't perfect, right? This isn't ready to go, ready to send. It still needs that period of review by humans and some revisions before it's finally ready to submit. But hopefully you can see that this ended up saving us some amount of time, right, in going from receive RFP all the way through submission. It's not going to automate the whole process for us, but it is going to save us some time along the way. So let's jump in and calculate, right? Let's say, for example, before automation, we spent 14 hours and doing 5 RFPs per month at $75 per hour. This was our monthly cost of, kind of the human hours that it took to handle this RFP process. Let's say after the automation, we saved 10 of those hours. We brought that 14 hours down to 4 hours. We're still doing 5 of these a month. The cost of our human staff is still the same, right? So that would be a savings, right? An automation of something like this could save $3,750 per month, which is about $45,000 a year, right? By starting small, focusing on the small thing, it can actually lead to big savings, especially if it's something that we do again. So is this realistic, right? Afternoon to implementation timeline, right? What did we skip today? The testing, the edge cases, the integration, the training, refining, consistency, scaling, right? The truth is that probably each one of those assistants took its own afternoon in terms of time to both spin up and test and ensure it was working correctly, tweak the instructions, get it exactly right. And it did require expertise with AI to get those things all working correctly as they should, right? But again, those investments of time early on to learn the tools and to apply them, right, can still pay off greatly in the future, right? So there's always going to be edge cases, there's always going to be integration and training and pushing this across the organization. So with that, what do we do? What are we taking away from this, right? Again, thinking about that morning routine of my son, right? Pick one process, start small, right? Let's start with getting your socks on. Then we can move on to the next thing, right? Pick one process, map it, find those gold mines, find those things that are both easily automatable with some human in the loop, right? That can be scaled and repeated over time, right? And then finally realize that return on investment, calculate that. With that, this concludes my short presentation about how to automate a single process. Let's stop boiling the ocean. Let's start small and manageable and take those steps towards AI automation. At SkillSpot, we would be happy to do a 30-minute discovery call with you to identify what your best fit process is for this. But I would welcome any questions or comments or things in the chat that you might have as we wrap things up.
Helen made a comment in the chat. She started the conversation with an academic journal editor to use this and rubrics for paper reviews. Thanks so much for the tips.
Awesome. Yeah. I'm actually coming from a higher education background myself, Helen. And so, yeah, that sounds like a great piece. And of course, it's going to need heavy human in the loop, peer review. There's only certain people who are qualified even, right, to kind of do that kind of review. And so it's still going to need, those reviewers and those people who are specialized in the field, but absolutely can help, identify themes, identify, are there pieces of content missing, or checking the format of citations and style guide for the journal, voice, all of that kind of stuff is absolutely AI can help automate some of that. Great point. Any other questions?
I have another question for you. What criteria do you use when determining what parts of a process can be automated and what should be done by people?
Yeah, that's a great question. So when thinking about what can be automated versus what should be done by people, number one, always think of that adage: AI is a first draft, never a final draft, right? If it's a first draft, if it's something low stakes, if it's something that will be reviewed by humans, those are great tasks that are good for automation, right? If it's something really high stakes, if this is, if making a mistake on this would be really costly, you're gonna want to have a human in the loop, at least reviewing the content and deciding whether or not to go, or kind of making those final edits, right? I'll give the example of AI is going to be a really smart, really driven, very capable intern, right? And so just like you wouldn't hand, the multi-million-dollar business deal over to an intern without proper supervision and scaffolding, right? We're not going to do that with AI either. But that doesn't mean that that highly capable intern can't automate and do some of that grunt work for us to really save us the time, right? And to free up our capacity to do some of those higher level things.
One more question, JP. Can you do the same automations in a Google Workspace environment, or is this only a Copilot thing?
Yeah, absolutely. So at SkillSpout, we will train on any of the AI tools that are out there. We really train on the fundamentals of how these generative AI tools work, not on any specific program. And so our company actually uses Google tools mostly internally. And so all of these automations are doable within a Google Workspace environment. Gemini has the same kind of AI assistance that Copilot has, and those can integrate with Google docs, sheets, slides, all of that kind of stuff, just like Copilot integrates with Microsoft's versions of those programs. Any other questions? I know we're at time, so thank you so much for spending this time with us. Thank you for, if you're watching this in the future, thank you so much for watching and considering this. Please do reach out if you do have any questions about how you can take those baby steps, take that next first small step for you in applying AI to stop boiling that ocean and start realizing some of those savings and return on investment from AI. We really appreciate your time, and thank you so much.